This is a Ryan Little production.
Alright, so I started taking out the dashboard, started with a glove compartment, and it actually allowed me access to the tube that comes up from the motor, and then here is like a Y split. You can see it there in blue, and it splits into two separate tubes. One disconnected, but it's for the first nozzle here on the left, and then the other one continues underneath the dashboard all the way to the one on the right, which is also unplugged. So what I'm going to try to do right now is just blow compressed air in here to see if I could get debris to come out of the other end. Okay, so good news and bad news. So what I did was I started taking out the dashboard, and I cannot for the life of me figure out how this thing comes off. I removed the bolt here, I removed the one inside the ashtray, I removed another 10mm bolt here, and the brake fluid reservoir on the other side is also bolted to the dashboard and to the chassis, so I separated that. But it's not budging at all. It's completely locked in there. So I kind of abandoned that idea, and like I said, I found access to this Y splitter here, so that splits the tube coming in from the reservoir and then splits it into a Y, so that it basically starts to basically splits it to both nozzles. What I did is I disconnected the main line from there, and I connected it directly into the first spray nozzle, and let me just show you. Turn the key here, and you could see it's working. What? One more. So at first I thought it was me that disconnected the lines by blowing forced air into there, but that's not the case. I guess the reason why this never worked, the system never worked, is because the hoses were unplugged. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna order a new line. I went to a couple of auto parts store, none of them had it, so I'm gonna try to feed a new line from the nozzle underneath the dashboard to that Y splitter, and kind of bypass the existing line that's in there now. So that'll be the plan, but obviously I have to order it, so I'm gonna have to wait until that part comes in. Okay, so it's been over a week since I started trying to fix the windshield washers on the Acty. So I was able to pry off the windshield washer nozzles. The right way to do this is to pinch these two clips on the bottom and pull it out. But because I have no access to them, I kind of just pry them off from the top. I just put a flathead screwdriver on the top, pressed in that tab, lifted it up a little bit, then tried to do the same to the back. One of them came out pretty easily, which was this one, and then the other one, one of the tabs broke. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to reuse these. If I see this one is not locking or holding correctly because of this broken tab, I'll just put a little bit of silicone or something. If that doesn't work, worst case scenario, I'll just buy another Honda nozzle. I think they'll have the same, not all of them, but I think the Del Sol, the Civic Del Sol that was sold in the United States, I think it was sold as a CRX in Europe. They have the same fitting. The only problem is they have a flush nozzle without this tall shape. It's more like a flat one with two spray nozzles coming out of it. In any case, so I pulled these straight out, and the plan is to run. Let me get line. I bought new line. So the plan is to just not use the existing hose that's in the car at all, other than the one that goes from the tank up underneath the dashboard to the first nozzle. The idea is that now I'm going to feed this line through the holes created that are left after you remove the nozzles. So if I'm looking here at this car, and the reason I'm not showing this on the Acty is because it's really cold outside and noisy. But in any case, so if I come up, obviously this is a left-hand drive car, but if I come up from the motor to the first nozzle, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tee off the hose to that first nozzle. What I did was, unfortunately, I broke the Y split. You can see it right there. That's in the Acty already. If you guys remove this, or if you ever have to do it, just split the hose to get it off, like I did here. Just do a little cut on the side, because if you try to pull it straight out, this is pretty fragile, and it just snapped right off, and the fitting stayed inside the hose. So I went to Advanced Auto Parts, and I got a little kit. Came in this thing. It's made by Dorman. They have like a whole section that has Dorman help products. It's like, you know, stupid little fix-it things, like little vacuum hose lines and stuff like that, knobs and whatnot. And I got this packet with an assortment of these. I put them in this bag, but this one seems to be the right diameter. That kind of matched the factory, even though it has more barbs. That doesn't really matter. The only bad thing about it, it's a T instead of a Y. So the idea is that the line will come from the pump and the tank through here, tee off into the first nozzle, and continue to the next one. The problem that I'm hoping won't happen is, because it's a T, the fluid might not really go split off right away. It will only do that once the first line is pressurized and then tee off. So I'm gonna make sure that I tee this in a way that the driver's side gets the one that's in line, and the passenger side, which is less crucial, will get the tee off. I could not find any Y pieces like this at the local auto parts store. I didn't want to wait around to order something. The other bad thing about this is it doesn't have this a fitting here to snap into the metal underneath the dashboard, or it's got like a hole, a square punch that you could pop this into. But I'm not too worried about that. It's not a heavy thing or anything that needs to hold. I could probably just zip tie it in place. So the line I got is, I bought it on eBay. This is actually a Honda product. That's the part number. So they sell this in different lengths. And I got, it's kind of weird. Here it says quantity 1, but here it says quantity 3. So I gotta see what, I'm hoping this is not 3 pieces. I'm hoping that this is one long hose. When you order this, you don't have to order Honda parts, okay? This is what's crucial here. It's this is the size, 4 by 7 by 8,000. So 4 is the inside diameter in millimeters, and 7 is the outside diameter in millimeters, and then the 8,000 is the length in millimeters. So you don't really need to worry about that. I think, don't quote me on this, but I think that's around 52 inches or something like that, 8,000 millimeters. But if you want to convert that, you just divide that by 25.4, and I'll give you your conversion in inches. So this, it looked on when I bought it on eBay, it looked like those black hose, but it's actually like a dark gray translucent, which is good because you can still see if there's fluid or air bubbles inside of it. Let me see if I could take a look. Yeah, what I'll do is I'll put the link to this part in this video in case you guys need it. like I said, you don't have to buy the Honda one as long as it's a 4x7 diameter. So next up is to just try to run the line from the driver's side underneath the dashboard to the next nozzle location, attach the T section, and then connect the line that's existing going to the water tank, and hopefully that should fix this. First try was a complete fail, so let's see if we could get this done. Okay, so let's finally try to do this. I can't believe it's taken this long because of the weather, but here is the tube that goes to the washer on that far side. Like I said, we're going to bypass this altogether, and we're going to run our own new line. I'm going to trim this off. Whatever's underneath the dashboard, I'm not going to worry about it. These are clipped on. I'm not going to be worried about the new one being clipped on either, because I noticed that the new material is a lot more rigid than this. This is more of a rubbery material. So so the first thing is to try to fish the line up under the dashboard, and to do that I'm going to use this electrical snake. So this is something I use at home. Never have to run a new electrical line. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to feed that through there, and hopefully go underneath the dashboard to the other side. Here. Trying to do this with one hand while holding the camera is not easy. Okay, here we go. So let me go check out where that ended up inside. Alright, let me go get the hose, and let's see if we could connect the two together. Okay, so when I tried to feed the snake through the spray nozzle hole, what happens is it wants to follow, it wants to right inside this bulkhead that you see here. So basically inside this bulkhead up there, you see that hole right there where my finger is at? It rides inside of there, and the problem with that, it's actually perfect because it goes right to where it needs to go, but the problem is the nozzle actually has a little barb that comes in past it. So basically you would need that hose to do a 90-degree turn, and you don't have enough room for the fittings. So it really needs to ride under here where the factory hose was. So what I did instead is I fed the snake through this side of the dashboard where the brake reservoir is, to this side. So it comes out right here. This is the snake, and I used some black duct tape, but taped the hose to the end of that. And I don't know if this will work, but basically I'm gonna feed it underneath the dashboard. Okay, so we got it here, but now the tricky part is I gotta find a way to get it out to that nozzle. So I'm trying to do this in two steps. So one, get it across to this side, and now step two is going to be to try to feed the snake down to this side, then tape this up to the snake again, and then pull it out through the nozzle hole. Okay, so I now fed the snake into the nozzle going down that way. So here's the snake. Here's the tube that I fed underneath the dashboard coming from the other side. And by the way, this tube did come all in one piece. It was in 3 pieces, which is perfect because then you could trim it to whatever size you need. So now I'm just going to tape up this to the snake, pull it through carefully, and hopefully we'll have our line fed all the way through. Okay, all taped up. It's always important to not make this bulky, or else you're gonna have problems getting it fed through. Moment of truth. Sorry. gotta apologize for the shaky camera, but I don't know if there's a better way to do this with one hand. So let's bind it up somewhere. So let me just put the camera down, see if I can get it fed through. Alright, so here's spray nozzle number 1. I'm just going to insert this into the hose, pop it in there, and then feed the slack of the hose down to this side.
Ryan Little.
Alright, so only thing left to do now is do the split with the T and attach the other nozzle. Okay, so time to install the T to split off the other nozzle. What I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna get rid of this old tubing. It's when I tried to yank it off before, that's how I broke that Y split. So you're better off just since you're not gonna reuse it, to just do a cut to split the tubing, and just makes it that much easier to get off. Carefully. Okay, so got that clean off. I don't know if you noticed, I also used a little bit of grease before to get the tubing in place. So I'm gonna do that again. So I think what I'm gonna do this time though is I'm going to insert the tube. Not exactly sure how much I will need, but to make it easier on me, I'm gonna probably feed the I'm gonna give myself a little bit extra slack here. So I'm gonna cut the tube here. I have a good 6 inches of slack. I'm gonna feed the nozzle through the outside first, and then do the Y or the T split on the inside. All right, so I fed the nozzle through the outside. Just need to pull all this line through. Okay, I ordered way more hose than I need, but you know, I figure I could always use it. Okay, it's fed all the way through. Now I'm just going to put a little bit of this RVT black silicone, because this is the one that one of the tabs broke when I took it off. So I'm just gonna put a little bit on the outside just to make sure no water gets in there and creates a rusting point. Alright, now here's where the two lines will tee off. Just gonna cut this one here. Clean it up. Clean up both sides. Okay, so here is the T. Just gonna put a little bit of lube on there. So you could tell this is not exactly the same spec as the Honda fittings because it is a little bit tough to get on. But we will manage. Just got to be real careful not to break this little T because it's the only one I have that's close in size, and I don't want to buy another assorted pack of 20 to just get this one piece out. Okay, there we go. All right, feed that a little bit more. Okay, so now I have the line that comes up from the tank, and I'm gonna connect that to this end of the T, and that should be it for installation. So just gonna get that connected up. I'm gonna test it, make sure it's working, and then I could put all the stuff I took off, you know, the glove compartment and the center console pieces. Okay, moment of truth. Let's see, this is working. And very low pressure, but they're both working. I think balance it out a little bit more. I think the grease that I put in the line might be blocking it a little bit, and it's very cold, so it's probably not helping get to that loop. Maybe we just have to build up some pressure because that left side is perfect now. And this side's a little bit without pressure, but I think we just have to clear that piece of grease. That one just cleared up and it's squirting all the way. This one's still a little bit less pressure, but yeah, there you go. So I'm gonna call this fixed, and if for whatever reason, if the weather gets warm, because it is about 30 degrees right now, and that does not change, I think I just need to make that T into a Y. I just have to find that piece. I don't know where, but I'm sure somebody out there has something like that. And now all I gotta do is put back the center console. I'm also working on rewiring some of these the fog lights for the next video, and but I'm gonna put back the center console section and the glove compartment, and we call this one done. Thanks for watching.